Okay, I'm a musician, so of course I see this one very clearly. But this goes back to something in the translations. I'm not sure what to call them in this current world, in this century. But some people, when they translate Lao Tzu, he refers to the goody-goodies or the goody-two-shoes. These are the people who feel good if they can take a rule and then hit somebody with it with a baseball bat and make them bleed. It's like, yeah, well, it was legal. You know, this is the law, and you broke the law, and I now use the law to hurt you. And they feel good about it. Those are really, they're actually evil people. But they think they're good people. That's the irony. They think they're the best people in the world, but they're actually very evil. So we have to go to Buddha for an understanding here. And this is one thing that's, I only rediscovered this a few years ago, and it's so enlightening. Buddha said there's only two things to create an evil person: ignorance and desire. It's like, what? Just two things? I mean, that's it? You just got to do two things and the person's an evil person? Yes, that's it. All you need is desire and ignorance. Okay? All you can say is, okay, I'll give you $100. The person says, okay, I want that $100, but you have to go over there and kick that dog. Oh, all right, then I guess it'll be okay. He's ignorant because I guess you have these bad manners. So he kicks the dog, gets $100. He's done something evil. Wow, it's that easy. So that's all evil is ignorance. Somebody doing something that they shouldn't do. If they were smarter, they would not kick the dog. That's just dumb. But don't do it for $1,000. Don't do it for $1 million. Don't kick the dog. But unfortunately, evil is, people, oh, well, I'm not evil for 100, but for $1,000 I'll be evil. See, evil is evil. That's why all it takes is ignorance and desire. It's terrible. It's terrible. Ever since I've done that, I've realized, man, how much evil is in the world is because that most people are committing all kinds of little evil acts. So then at some point, then you create a big evil act, and then somebody catches it. Oh, you're evil. No, I never did any big evil, just little. They don't think they're evil. They can't see it. So unfortunately, the whole world has become blind to the fact that we might be doing little evil things, poisoning a little river. Oh, this is just a little bit of poison in the river. It's not going to hurt anybody. That's ignorance. And the desire was to get rid of it. So out of our ignorance and desires, we are evil. Wow. So watch yourself. We're evil all the time. We justify it. So back to that. So those are the goody-two-shoes. And there's a lot of those in government. They love to get into government where they can use the government to hurt people and say, oh, that's legal, it's legal, He stepped on that line, and the law says you step on that line, and I can hit you with a baseball bat. Okay? And so you stepped on that line, it's legal, it's a law. Okay, so thank you. And they go and they love to hit people. Anyway, these sadistic, evil people are running our government. There's a lot of evil people who enjoy being evil running our government. Like Mitch McConnell, he loves to jam up the government. For 40 years, I think, he takes the greatest pride in hurting our country. But he's getting paid for it. See, he's ignorant. He thinks he's doing something good because somebody's paying him big money and other people are agreeing with him. So he thinks it's okay. He's ignorant. It's ignorance, really is. And then he's got the desire for that money and the power. So you put those two together and you have one of the most evil persons in the entire planet running our country. So anyway, let's get back to this real quick and see if I can come back to that. So anyway, those are the goody-goodies, the people who think that they're the best people in the world and they're actually doing the most evil in the world, starting wars and all kinds of things. We did this war for your own good. Okay, 19B, avoid adherence or blind observance of the letter of the laws. The letter of the laws was in quotation marks because that's an important thing. The letter of the law, like I was saying, he stepped on the line. Well, he may have tripped, maybe there's extenuating circumstances, but this person doesn't care. They're only interested in the letter of the law, not the reality of the law. Maybe he wasn't going to step on that line. Maybe, like I said, he tripped. Or maybe he would have stepped on somebody's foot, and so he stepped over their foot so he wouldn't hurt them, and then he did that, and then he's going to get punished. See, so you still stepped on the line, I got to hit you with this bat. See, that's adhering to the letter of the law. And that's where our whole world has gone screwy because of people trying to hurt people, because they can legally do it. All right. So I call the nature of the rule. Well, the nature of the rule is if you step on that line, I'm going to have to make it again. It's only made out of chalk. You know, we're playing a sport and I'm just getting ready to play. So don't step on that line because then I'm going to have to go back and get the chalk roller and make it all nice. We're playing baseball here or something like that. You see, so the letter of the law is don't step on that line before the game because then it's going to look ugly and people are going to show up and then somebody's going to have to come out and fix it. Okay, so that's the letter of the law. Don't step on the lines before the game, the chalk lines in the baseball field. But the nature of it is just because it'll look good. And if somebody trips or falls, that doesn't mean they have to go to jail. You know, you got to fix it. And hopefully that person won't do it again. And maybe they weren't supposed to do it, you see. So they don't need to be punished, you know, for stepping on it. And I'm sure they're, you know, anyway, you get the concept. Guys, if you're smart enough to be listening to me, then hopefully you understand what I'm saying. if you're not smart enough to understand what I'm saying, you know, I bet I lost you a long time ago. Well, I haven't gotten that far here, but here we go. Like a musician, do you think about the notes or do not think about the notes, play the song? You see, and that was the tricky thing last night. I didn't know what key I was in when I was writing that song, but I could hear it in my head. And then I was playing, I'm playing my bass, and I was using it like a guitar, you know. And then I come back to this thing, and I couldn't, what was that rhythm? You know, I had to find it, you know. And it wasn't a matter of seeing it or reading it. It was like, I had to, what was the way I played it? And then boom, I'd feel it. And it's like, there it is. That was it. That was the feeling. And that was the, you know, the riff. And so I was playing the song. Not the notes. I could know what was right. And then when I was playing the chords, and I went down there, no, it's not supposed to go down there. That wasn't quite right. And then I'd experiment around, and well, what was it? And then I'd have to find it. I'd have to look for that thing that felt right. And sometimes I have to explore. I really literally have to explore and try. No, let's go to this, and there we go. And then, you know, it felt like the progression worked with what I was trying to accomplish. How many different times? Okay, here we go. So let's read the whole thing again. Lao Tzu says, is it me? Avoid adherence or blind observance to the letter of the laws, and be always aware of the nature of the rule. Like a musician, do not think about the notes. Play the song. All right, so let's see what I have to say to inspire you on that message, which to me means a heck of a lot. That's a lot. That's like this is like a motto of my life, you know, in a sense. But anyway, here we are. Are you a stickler for details and fine print? Are you one of those baseball hitters? What laws do you obey so efficiently that you don't evaluate all information before deciding what's right or wrong? See, we do that with our kids as parents, you know. They do something and, you know, they break the rules maybe for a good reason, but they break the rules and our first reaction is, you know, but maybe there's a good explanation. So anyway, as a parent, you know, listen and look for the real truth, you know. Don't just kind of always it simplifies our lives to have rules and say, you stay here in this area, you stay here in this area, you know. It just simplifies it. So as a parent, I know what it's like to make rules, but at the same time, don't make so many that, anyway, well, I think that's probably coming up in another one. Like a soldier or a policeman, are you bound to serve laws whether you agree with them or not? Which laws do you enforce? See, so like now in our politics, you know, we got terrible laws and illegal things that are being. Anyway, which laws do you enforce that you don't obey? In other words, what laws do you make other people do that you don't obey? You know, like especially when you got kids, you make them obey laws that you don't obey. You know, and so but you should be able to answer that. Do you get mad when someone lies to you? Why? There's a lot buried in that which we can't unpack right now, but that's very important. So, can you trust someone who has cheated you? Why? Let me read it. I'll read each question twice. Do you trust someone who has cheated you? Why? Do you feel guilt, shame, or frustration when you break a self-imposed rule? A rule you made for yourself. Okay. Do you feel guilt, shame, or frustration when you break a self-imposed rule? Next, last one. Do you rely on rules to keep you in line? Like Alcoholics Anonymous, a religion, family employers, the military, the police. Explain. One more time. Do you rely on rules to keep you in line? Alcoholics Anonymous, religion, family employers, military, police. Now, yeah, remember I told you, yes, I rely on lots of, I don't know if I'd even call, we can maybe call them rules. Like I told you yesterday, I'm making these structures. So when I go to a website, what are the rules? What am I going to do when I get there? Okay? Which websites am I going to get? Because I'm going to ignore all the rest. And so I'm like prioritizing, trying to find a list so I can go down the list and go, I'm done. That's it. Because they've got so many thousands of things to do. I'm never done. So in a way, I'm trying to make things so I can tell when I've actually gotten something done, or at least the most important things. That was 19B of the Tao of Taoism. Using Tao Te Ching to improve your life. And that's what we're using. We're going to improve our life with all this stuff. So anyway, Buddha Zhen Zhen Long here. Glad to have you along. And keep thinking. And if you're thinking, then you're learning. And even if you're disagreeing with me, hey, I got you thinking. So that's okay. You can disagree with me. I don't mind.